Hi there, welcome to Island Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Capricorn energy, and we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because life's about learning lessons in life and tempering our more shadowy nature, represented by Capricorn in the Devil card. We've all got our more immature worldly nature, pride, ego, fear, insecurity, less greed, self-centeredness, laziness, self-indulgence. And some people have worked through some of those issues more so than some other people. And so we're going to read it from the perspective of people who still are quite manipulated by those things and how they would be handling this energy in their life and the decisions they're making, and how people who have freed themselves from more of those issues than some other people who have grown and healed and matured themselves and tempered their ego nature, how they're handling this energy. So I kind of view this card here as the overarching reason for the reading. And we have the Queen of Swords, and the reason it came out is because of the Tower. And the Tower can talk about the fact that we have realized that we're operating from our more shadowy nature. And why? Probably because we felt betrayed and things didn't work out the way we wanted. And we realized we need to look at life from a higher perspective. Emotionally, the queens can talk about how we think and feel. The masculine cards can represent the action that we're taking in our life and kind of how we present ourselves in the world. And some people kind of saw through the illusion of some things that manipulated them. And they are looking to the future and looking at life from a higher perspective. And then we have the Fool card, going on a new journey. When we learn the lesson we were meant to learn from a certain phase of life, that's when we detach from that phase of life. And we face our fears about going forward in life differently. Just like we did age 15 to 18 to 21 to 25, we had to let go of aligning with our more immature way of viewing life and living life, and realize we've maybe learned everything we needed to learn there, and it's time to face our fears about, in fire sign energy, being bold and brave and confident to move forward in life differently. And some other people could be upset about that because they don't want to, they could, in their Aquarius energy, have a more worldly view of life, and their Capricorn energy. I think we should make our life more about me, or more about these things of the world, or more about these things we indulge in. I don't want to take a leap of faith. I don't want to be more bold and brave and confident. I don't want to step out of my comfort zone. I want to keep doing this. And other people kind of found it, again, like it just lacked creativity or inspiration. Nothing new. You're never giving birth to anything new, just repeating an old pattern over and over. And everybody has their comfort zone and how they want to live their life and what they think is like just and fair and what they find emotionally fulfilling. And sometimes we can get to a place in a relationship that, you know, how we want to move forward in life is different. Our goals and our dreams and our aspirations, how we view life, if we're more caught up in the world or not as caught up in the things of the world. And sometimes we were in a mismatched relationship from the beginning, and we didn't realize that some people can be more defensive. Some people can be more unstable. Some people can be more about themselves, kind of immature. And if they think it's just and fair to indulge themselves in their shadowy ways of being, defensiveness, pride, ego, immaturity, whatever it is, they think it's just and fair. And they think other people should think it's just and fair. And eventually some other people are like, I don't think that's just and fair. Because the counterpart to the Queen of Swords would be the King of Swords, which is Libra energy, of represented by the scales of justice of what we think is just and fair. And it's like, if you think that's just and fair, I'm going to let you go live your life like that with some other people. And I'm going to move on. Or if I'm your employer, I'm going to fire you. You know? So what's going on in Capricorn energy? We have the Nine of Swords, the Lover's card, the Death card, and the Hermit. And the reason it came out is because of the Five of Pentacles. So we've all been in experiences where things didn't work out the way we wanted and we kind of feel betrayed. And some people have more fear in the Nine of Swords about moving forward in life, being more bold and brave and confident. They might want to be in relationships with the Lover's card, but if there's someone who doesn't want to kind of self-reflect about why things didn't work out, like a job, a friendship, a relationship, right? How did I contribute to that not working out? And then we need to be willing to deal with the truth of it. And if we're willing to deal with the truth of it, we'd harness these energies in a more high vibrational way. In the Death card, I see ways of being within myself that I need to let go of. If I get all caught up in my head and have a lot of fears about love, that kind of makes me act certain ways in relationships, and then people don't want to keep staying in a relationship with me. Am I willing to quit hiding? The Hermit can be wanting to hide from the truth. If we're willing to, in high vibe fire sign energy, be inspired, I'm going to work through these issues that cause me my fear, my insecurity, or to be defensive, or be stubborn, or be prideful, and instead of putting an end to wanting to see the truth, I'm inspired to transform my life. And so then I am going to take this time alone. That's like high vibe Virgo, Hermit energy. I'm going to take this time alone before I move forward in something new. I'm going to take this time to work through my fears and my insecurities, or my lack mentality, or my stubborn nature, or my prideful nature, or my defensive nature, or immature nature, thinking it should be more about me, or why I make these things so important in my life instead of love. And if they were willing to do that work, well, then that does kind of set them free. In high vibes, the Five of Pentacles can be, I did have a way of living life and viewing life, and I learned the lesson I was meant to learn from it. And now I am kind of more inspired. The 8 and the 9 and the 10 of Swords is Gemini energy, and so is the Lover's card. I have free will. That's what Gemini energy talks about. I can either align with my more fearful, insecure, prideful, bossy, immature nature, or I can change. And the fives also talk about change. And the Death card talks about being inspired to transform kind of our philosophy of life, because the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy. Why do I think the way I think? Why do I view myself and other people the way I view people? Why could I be more stubborn, more fearful, more insecure, distrustful? Why don't I do this work? And it could transform my whole life. And that's what some people did. And other people stayed up in their head. They want to move forward. They want to get in a new relationship, but they don't want to see the truth. But the truth sets us free. And that's what the Tower card can be about. Dealing with the truth of some issues at a core foundational level. Do I look at life from a higher perspective? Or do I get all caught up in my head and my fear and my insecurities? Am I willing to love myself, to work through my fears and my insecurities, or my lack mentality, so I can detach and not let that have such a hold on me? But it takes a lot of work and effort, and that's why some people don't want to do it. And if they are more defensive, more immature, more prideful, more materialistic, Taurus is like Capricorn is earth sign energy, so some people could be more caught up in these things of the world and make their life more about those things, and some of those people don't want to see the truth about themselves or even people they could have grown up with, because Taurus energy can represent these different foundations in our life: friend groups, family groups, our community, our society, our state, our country. Why, high vibe energy is being more independent to live your more authentic life aligned with your truth. And in high vibe energy, it would be being inspired by truth and love and justice and fairness and respecting everybody as their own individual who has the right to have their own philosophy of life, live life the way they want to live their life. But high vibe people are like, I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I just want to live my more authentic life. I want to go treat other people the way I like to be treated. I want to offer people love and encouragement and treat people in a just and fair way. But in order to do that, we kind of have to let go of that old philosophy of life. And Taurus energy can be all these thoughts in our head. You know, you should look like this, you should act like this, you should behave like this, you should wear this, not wear that, do this, don't do that, this is good, this is bad. But it can be how we're so influenced by the world, other people, our fear, our ego, instead of freeing ourselves from all those things that manipulate us to live our authentic life, not wanting, having ill intention, not wanting to hurt anyone, not wanting to manipulate anyone. I just am wishing you to live your more authentic life, and I too am going to live my authentic life. And I am my own individual. I have my own dreams. I have my own aspirations. And some of the things that other people might think, you should do this and you should do that, and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. It's like, if that's your truth and that is your idea of the dream life, then you should live your life like that. But if that's not my idea of the dream life, and I don't think that's just and fair, and that isn't my truth, and those things don't drive and motivate me and inspire me the way they might drive and motivate and inspire you, then I have to shine my authentic light in the world from kind of adhering to a higher truth and justice that my soul is telling me. Because shadowy energy, kind of represented by the world and the devil, are all these things that try to oppress us and limit us and oppress us and restrict us and imprison us from living our more authentic life, from truth and love and in alignment with a higher sense of what's just and fair. And some people are stressed out because other people work through those issues within themselves and they do move on. And because they're unwilling to see the truth of some things that make them defensive to being more bold and brave and confident and more independent, they end up kind of feeling left out in the cold because other people do that work within themselves to work through the issues that manipulate them. And some people don't ever want to work through those issues that manipulate them. But other people who get in relationship with them can see that some of these things manipulate them. Again, they could like to live more from their mind than being more balanced and connected in with their heart. Shadowy death Scorpio energy can be people who, I am more emotionally shallow and superficial. I do like to live more from my mind than my heart. I am more about, I love the world, I love my ego, my image, or these things I like to indulge in, or having it more about me. And I don't want to see the truth. And other people can see they don't want to see the truth. And that's why other people move on. Virgo energy also that anyone can tap into in high vibe would be just being a little more self-aware of how your actions or your ways of being affect other people. And some people are like, well, I don't really maybe care about how other people think or feel about what I do. It's like, well, okay, then there's probably going to be people who don't want to be in a relationship with you. If the only person you care about is yourself, and you could hide the truth that all you do is care about yourself, and so that makes you more in shadowy Aquarius energy that anyone can harness, that you're more egotistical, you're more self-centered, you think it should be all about you. Well, other people got out of thinking they think life should just be all about them. But if that's what they think is just and fair, they don't understand why other people don't agree with them. And other people don't agree with them. So then we have the Temperance card and the World, the Six of Wands, the Two of Cups, and the Empress. And the reason that came out is because of the Five of Wands. So again, we can all go through experiences that didn't work out the way we wanted. In the Queen of Swords, we can all feel betrayed. We can all kind of be up in our head about it. We can all go through a period of feeling left out in the cold. But the difference is high vibe people offer themselves love to deal with the truth. I could have done everything I could. I could have been just and fair and loving and nurturing and supportive and encouraging. And for some people, that's not enough. I want more attention. I want it to be more about me. You're not letting me be bossy and controlling enough. You're not indulging in playing some of these games that I want you to play, of getting in the fight with me, and you keep maintaining balance within yourself. I don't like that. And during a course of a relationship, we can change. The fives, again, talk about change. We could have gotten in relationships, we viewed life a certain way, and then as time went by in that job, friendship, or relationship, some people kind of did get inspired to do some of this inner work within themselves. If I have my own lack mentality, my fears, my insecurities, things I haven't really sat down and kind of taken a look at, well, one person might get motivated to do that, and they're kind of inspired to move forward in life differently. The other people didn't do it, and then we're trying to move forward in a relationship. And the Five of Wands can talk about, kind of what now motivates and inspires us is different. One person is more inspired to move forward differently, and some other people have inner conflict about that and kind of in their ego about it, because I liked it when we both viewed life this way, but now you changed. So how could people that are in a more mismatched relationship be feeling? Well, one person kind of balanced out their emotions about maybe some issues of their past when they were more fearful or felt left out in the cold, and people they had wanted to move forward in their life in a more just and fair, loving way, and maybe they didn't. And they just kind of worked through it to kind of get out of their ego about it. That everybody has free will. Everybody has the free will to choose to work through their issues to be a more just and fair and loving and encouraging and supportive person, or not. To be more about themselves for the things of the world, or not. And they kind of get out of their ego about it, that, the whole world doesn't revolve around me. I am not the center of attention. And everybody has their own free will, and everybody has their own defensive nature, or looks at life from a higher perspective, or they don't. The only person I can change is me. And so I do want, and I am inspired to balance out my emotions about some of these things that kind of used to cause me a lot of inner conflict. And then the World card can talk about closing out a cycle. Closing out and working through some of that inner conflict or immaturity or defensiveness or whatever, right? Whatever the inner conflict could have been about within yourself or with others. And they've kind of closed out that chapter. The Temperance card is Sagittarius energy, which is fire sign energy also. And in high vibe is being inspired to kind of wrap your brain around this game of life. Higher learning and education. And some of those people did it. And some people are doing it now. And then they move forward from the Five of Wands to the Six of Wands. They took that inspired action, the Fool, holding one wand, and that's a feminine figure, which can be people were inspired emotionally to do this work within themselves, to get out of their ego. Both the 5 and the 6 are Leo energy, which can be about being in our ego, and are instead, they freed themselves to kind of step back in the spotlight of their own life, I'm not going to let those things of my past and I'm going to offer myself love and compassion, forgiveness for the mistakes I've made in life. I too am a fallible human being who had lessons to learn. And I just look at life differently. I'm more inspired to look to what can be, looking to the future, than maybe focusing on the past. And choosing in my Cancer energy of what I love to align with getting more balance within myself and taking the lessons that I've learned and incorporating those into how I make decisions moving forward and how I live my life moving forward. I've changed. And then if they did that, but some other people in their life didn't, well, some of those people could kind of be patient. Things are different now. And then they have to decide, am I willing to work through some of my issues and my defensiveness or my past pain and heartbreak and self-limiting beliefs or whatever to move forward in that energy? And the Empress talks about emotionally giving birth to something new. I could repeat this old pattern forever, or am I inspired to change and give birth to something new? And some people in our life, as we go through life with them, are willing to do that. Sometimes they're the one who's kind of ready to move forward in life a little differently and seem to be more healed or balanced or something. And we're like, oh my gosh, if I want to keep in this friendship or this job or this relationship, I better work through some of my issues because I want to move forward with them or this situation. And so then those people kind of do that work within themselves also. But then there's other people who have more conflict maybe about change. They wanted to keep moving forward the way they were moving forward. And so some of those people might not be ready to change or take more inspired action in their life or work through whatever it is that manipulates them within themselves or people outside of them or the world at large or the ego or something. And some of those people will decide to end moving forward with those people because they're not ready to do that yet. And so some people, the thing is though, sometimes when people are maybe shadowy Sagittarius, can be that people are a little more immature. They can let more of their ego or their fear or their codependent nature or not wanting to deal with the truth can kind of maybe take some shadowy action, maybe hurtful action, maybe intimidating or controlling, maybe doing things. I'm going to do something to try to make these people feel left out in the cold. I'm going to do some things to try to get them up in their ego. I'm going to do some things to try to cause them inner conflict, trying to stop people from kind of growing to their full potential. Because in order for them to stay in a relationship, either they have to kind of work through some of these issues, or they in turn can try to stop those people from loving and believing in themselves by trying to do things that cause them inner conflict, intimidate or control them, be rejecting, be hurtful, be unkind. And for a long time, sometimes when we're in a more mismatched relationship, because loving and encouraging people put a lot of work and effort to try to make a relationship work, and, high vibe Capricorn is about trying to make things victorious and successful. And so they can kind of give into that for a long time, like, oh, you're not ready. Oh, well, let me try to keep inspiring you. And that's what some people want. I want you to be more focused on inspiring me, but they in turn are never going to take that within themselves to do that work. It's a more codependent energy, like, well, I want you to be loving and nurturing to me, to make me feel better. Well, are you ever going to learn to love and nurture yourself so you feel better? on your own, being more independent and less codependent. And some people are like, well, that's not my truth. This is why I get in a relationship. I don't think that's my job. I don't think I'm supposed to have to do those things. This is how I view a relationship. I have fears and insecurities, or I don't love myself. I get in a relationship for someone to help me deal with my fears and insecurities and to love me. But I never deal with my own fears and insecurities and work through my issues to love myself. So you can move forward in a more mismatched relationship where the Six of Wands can be like moving forward in a way that looks victorious and successful. And there could be a lot of things in a job, a friendship, a relationship for both people where by worldly standards can look very victorious and successful. Like the job is still working and moving along because you have these different people working in it. But some people might put a lot more work and effort, be more just and fair and balanced and act with character and integrity. And then you could have some more people who don't, you know, and, it can cause conflict because the high vibe people would kind of like to work with people who are more like them, more shadowy or competitive people or intimidating or controlling or immature people would kind of like those people to keep indulging them because it works for them. But they have inner conflict and maybe get in their ego, maybe jealous and envious that I don't like that those people are more balanced. I don't like that those people are more tempered in their ego. Why aren't they more immature or bossy or controlling or manipulative like me? And so then instead of doing that work within themselves because they could maybe see it as some good qualities, but instead of doing that work, because shadowy people can kind of live their life creating an illusion about who they are, hiding the truth, not being more authentically themselves. And if they operate more from their defensive, egoic nature and kind of wearing a false front, they could think that's what other people are doing too. And they kind of get in their ego and their competitive nature because they think somehow you're just creating a better illusion than they are. And they don't know how you do it. But the thing is, the high vibe people aren't creating an illusion. They really are a more emotionally mature person who is more balanced within themselves, doesn't indulge themselves as much in their more immature or prideful nature, wearing a false mask. And that's what some shadowy people don't get. But they cannot want to maybe keep being in friendships or relationships with those people, the more high vibe people, because it does kind of illuminate. Leo is also represented by the Sun card, and the Tower talks about illuminating the truth about people's foundations. And so they could like the more authentic, balanced, loving people to leave. Because I don't like that it kind of illuminates the truth that I am more superficial, shallow, bossy, controlling, prideful, egotistical, manipulative, competitive, have a lack mentality, defensive to love. And if you just go, then I can hang out with people who are more on the same page as me, and we can maintain this illusion that we're these just and fair and loving and encouraging and supportive people because we don't have anyone in our life who is more authentic, isn't operating more from their ego and creating a persona. They really are who they say they are. They really do look at life from a higher perspective. They really are motivated and inspired by hope and faith and belief and love. And we like to think we're those kind of people too, but when we're around people who are really like that, it kind of illuminates that that's not really who we are. And we also maybe don't really want to change, and that bugs us because it kind of illuminates that we're maybe a little more stubborn and a little more defensive to change, and we just want to keep giving birth to the same thing. And that's when some of the shadowy people, by being more hurtful, unkind, stubborn, prideful, whatever, can hope it will destabilize some of the more loving, nurturing people in the world because they kind of want them to be in the same energy as them. Don't want their dreams to come into reality. You know, if I'm not living my life like that, you shouldn't live your life like that. And if I'm defensive to be more bold and brave and confident, I want you to be more defensive to being bold and brave and confident. And eventually the high vibe people in their life kind of see the truth of it. You don't kind of treat me the way I treat you. You're not really inspired by love. You might try to present yourself as being that type of person, but I think you're kind of more get in relationships maybe more and getting jobs and friendships more for how it benefits you in your ego or your image, or to help you feel more stable or grounded within yourself, or make you look like you've healed from something in your past, that you're not the same person that you were in your past, but you're the exact same person you were at your last job, in your last friendship, or your last relationship. You haven't changed. Two cards of change here. The high vibe people really did change. They're not the same person they were before. They do look at life differently than they looked at life before. But the other people try to figure out how they can look like they've changed also. How more can they hide the truth so other people don't know maybe what happened at the last job, last friendship, last relationship? High vibe people are willing to tell the truth. Where I needed to heal and grow and mature myself, or some of the people in my life maybe needed to heal and grow and mature themselves. But they're not trying to build their ego off of it. It's just dealing with the truth. It was what it was. We were where we were at. We viewed life the way we viewed it. Does it make me a better person or a worse person? Doesn't make them a better or worse person. We're just where we're at. We view life the way we view it. Could I find it kind of immature and competitive and intimidating and controlling and prideful and egotistical and self-centered? Yeah, that's kind of the way we can describe it, but they're not. It's kind of like, if you were 25, would you be mad at a 15-year-old because they're like a 15-year-old? Well, everyone's learned different lessons in life. Everybody has different emotional maturity levels. Yeah, can we feel betrayed if people were hiding the truth that they are more competitive in the world, more egotistical, more about the things of the world or themselves, and they weren't being truthful and honest? And then they want to get in a relationship with someone who they know that isn't really their truth. We all want stability and security. We'd all like to enjoy the finer things in life, but they're really more motivated and inspired by love, and some of the other people knew that's not their truth. But if I can get you in the relationship, I'm hoping you'll give up your dreams. Because in our worldly nature, we all do want these things of the world that the more worldly, shadowy people want too. And then it's hoping that you'll give up your dreams and kind of make your life more like their life, where you could have known that they seem to be more caught up in some of these things, and you in turn thought that they would maybe live more life like you want to live life. You know, high vibe people who believe in love think everybody is motivated by love, aren't they? And people would see that they're being more immature or bossy or prideful or self-centered or egotistical, wouldn't they? And sometimes we get in relationships with people, and because we could be attracted to them and we have love for them, whether they're, we could have known them all our life, brothers, sisters, our own adult children. But as time goes by in a relationship, we can realize that kind of what we're motivated and inspired by is different. And it's more challenging if it's like a long-term friend or a romantic relationship, because we really wanted a dream to come into reality with them, and we wanted it to get more balanced out over time and be more just and fair. And have we all kind of changed in some ways? Some people for the worse, some people for the better. We were kind of hoping some people, because that there was love there, that that everybody would be willing to change and to work together. Capricorn is kind of represented by the 2 and the 3 and the 4 of Pentacles. The 2 of Pentacles can be, I have my truth, you have your truth. I'm my own person, you're your own person. Can't we work together? And in the 3 of Pentacles, work together. And in the 4 of Pentacles, want to hold on to this and keep moving forward. But sometimes we just see somehow, we could have been beneficial to each other in a lot of ways. Maybe people went through some things that were disruptive in their life. Could have kind of been in the same boat in some ways. And we could have gotten in a relationship. And, sometimes some people come into our life and we're kind of mutually beneficial to each other because again, we could have a lot of things in common, a lot of interests that we like to invest our time into, and things that we enjoy. But then kind of once we've kind of worked through kind of more getting up on our feet again, then are we ready to still go on that next journey together? And to go on that next journey, some people kind of realize that kind of our dreams are different and how we view life is different, where, maybe initially we were kind of more focused on some other things or working through some other issues. And then as we did work through them, kind of what we want to give birth to is the next thing. And it's like what we want to give birth to emotionally and how we want to move forward in life and how we maybe envisioned our life moving forward is different. The only difference is high vibe people learn lessons from that life experience. They get out of their ego about it. They're able to come to a place of peace about it, to not let it stop them from continuing to believe in their dreams. And some of the other people too could think, if they realized the way the people they were in a relationship with wanted to live their life a certain way, and they were like, nope, that's not my truth, they could, in a way, detach from it also. I just think that, if people are more shadowy in some way, where they are more about themselves, are more about being competitive, are more about ego and image, they don't want generally other people to know that truth. Because if they were to tell people, well, I'm really just more about myself, or I'm really more about being in a relationship for the status or the ego and the image, the money, to be indulged, other people wouldn't get in a relationship with them. So I think they end up having to hide their truth and hide why they didn't move forward with people, where they could have had a relationship and a dream come into reality based on love. And then they might try to move forward in another relationship. And then if they're still trying to because I think even shadowy people, part of the dream is to be in relationships with people who are loving and nurturing. People, we like to feel like people love us, right? But the problem is some of them are just really more about themselves. They want to be in a relationship with people who are more loving, because then that's good for their ego and their image and their status. But they don't really want to authentically be loving. And then they keep repeating this pattern, and for some of them, it could be kind of blowing up in their face again, because they keep not wanting to see the truth. If you want to be in relationships with people who are more just and fair and stable and grounded and loving and authentic, you should be that type of person. And they're like, no, I don't have to do that. If I have this maybe certain status or image, or present myself this certain way, and I dress this certain way, and I act this certain way, and I wear these certain clothes, or have a certain social clout or power or influence, I'm sure people will disregard the fact that I'm not loving. But authentically high vibe loving people will feel like they're missing out on their dreams, because it is like they're in a relationship with someone who's aligned with the competition, which isn't love. And eventually, if you're not willing to be a much more just, fair, authentic, loving person, or a more authentic person, they might have to get in a relationship with someone who's more like themselves. And that was not their idea of the dream life. Well, no, I like it to be more about me. It's like, yeah, well, now you're going to have to be in a relationship with someone else who likes it to be more about them. Well, I like to be bossy and controlling. It's like, well, you might end up having to be in a relationship with someone else who's bossy and controlling. Well, I want to be in the relationship more for the status, the ego, or the image, but I want them to love me. Well, you might have to be in a relationship with someone who's more in a relationship with you because of the status and the ego and the image. We live in a world of free will. You can choose this or you can choose that, or somewhere on the spectrum. And if you weren't willing to work more cooperatively and free yourself from things that manipulate you, to work with the people who wanted to work with you in a more just and fair and loving way, well, to think that you can reap that harvest, but that's not the seeds that you plant, that's like an injustice. That's trying to cheat the system, right? I want that, but I don't want to be that. Well, if you're this, you're going to probably end up reaping this. And then they don't like that. And that can kind of be us in our more worldly, egoic nature, thinking we should be able to control things or manipulate things or be more about us. And, it isn't. It isn't more about you or whatever. So some people are seeing the truth. Some people are doing this work just within themselves right now to be able to reconcile themselves with some of these issues from the past, to emotionally detach from it, get over feeling betrayed about the past. They offered truth and love to it to be able to move on. And those people are going on a new journey. And what some of the other people don't realize is that the truth sets us free. And if you don't learn the lesson you were meant to learn, you end up, whether you know it or not, you're repeating an old pattern because they haven't changed. And they're repeating the same patterns and ways of thinking and ways of perceiving themselves and others in the world and what drives them, motivates them. That's what they plant. That's what they invest in. And unless they get in a relationship with someone who's on the same page as them, which they could, and then this could just mean that kind of other people who are not as caught up in whatever it is that they make their life about, those people could kind of see the truth that this really isn't more about love. This is more about you, or controlling people, or manipulating people, or to look like a shining star in the world in some way. But it's not really love. And then other people maybe really don't care to hang around them as much, the more high vibrational people, because they see that they're not being more authentic, that they are maybe more emotionally shallow, egotistical, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to move on. And the people who will keep aligning with them and, are people who kind of live their life like that too. It's just like when we're 15, we probably hang out with other 15-year-olds that are at whatever emotional maturity level and doing whatever things we're doing in the world. And then there's another group of 15-year-olds that aren't doing that, and they could have viewed us kind of immature. There's different strokes for different folks, and most of the time it doesn't matter. It's just more challenging when it is someone that we were hoping we'd keep staying friends or working together cooperatively, or working together to bring a dream into reality. The high vibe people work through it. I think the more defensive people keep feeling betrayed because they could think, if you're not making your life more about them or these things of the world, that you're immature, and they could be mad at you that you don't view life the way they view it. And it's like, hey, go find someone else who views it the way you view it. It's not my truth. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Capricorn energy that they might not see coming up? They are facing their fears. They are working with the people in their life who are loving and encouraging and supportive, not wanting to repeat an old pattern, believing in themselves, believing in their dreams, getting over past pain and heartbreak and betrayal, to go on a new journey and give birth to something new. The Karma card, which is like the Judgment card, and the Page of Wands. Why? Because of the Three of Swords. So, high vibe people completed a cycle. They were at the Nine of Swords here, and there's a maximum of 10 in every suit. And as they did this work within themselves, the Queen of Swords typically holds one sword. So as we work through all of this within ourselves, of kind of letting go of an old dream, putting things in perspective, looking at life from the big picture, seeing everybody's just kind of at where they're at, you close out a cycle. And then in your own Libra energy, you are balanced between your heart and your mind about it, because you didn't stay stuck and in denial of the truth. You were willing to deal with the truth. And the truth was, you saw in the Judgment card how you had to call judgment on yourself and others. See where everybody needed to heal and grow and mature themselves. And the only person you can change is you, so you did. And now, in the Page of Wands, you're having that new adventure in your life that you're going on. Oh, my ears are ringing. All of a sudden, I don't know why that happened. Particularly in my right ear, if anybody knows that that means anything. And I think as you're moving forward in that way, you're also calling judgment on people who you feel were maybe unjust, unfair, hurtful, or unkind, or immature. You know, if people wanted to be more just and fair, they'd be just and fair. If they had a more hopeful, loving spirit, they would. If they were more willing to hold themselves accountable for their actions and speak their truth and take action in truth, then they would. And if they're not, I'm not going to let people who are doing things that are hurtful, unkind, or immature manipulate me. I see the truth. I wish you peace, and I'm moving on. And then as you're moving forward in that energy, I think other people will see the truth, that they have the free will too, to align with these different types of people in the world and ways of being within themselves. And there'll be other people who are going to do this same work within themselves, who hold themselves accountable, see that other people hold themselves accountable, and take accountability for their actions. And that's what sets people free. I don't want to repeat this old pattern either. And they, you know, the people in the world that you don't even have to know, you know, are the people that you're going to more spend your time and invest your time, energy, and effort into, versus the people in your life who've already shown you the truth of what they choose to do in their free will, which isn't aligned with your truth of what you think is just and fair. And you just see the truth of it, and that sets you free to go on this new adventure. So what's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Capricorn energy that they might not see coming? So some people in their Capricorn energy of what they view as victorious and successful can be not being more just and fair, not doing love, because you get hurt doing love. That it's more maybe about being about them, or the status, or the ego, or the image, and looking like a shining star in the world, or them being indulged in a relationship. That's their idea of a victorious life. So what's coming up for them that they don't see coming? The High Priestess. Why? Because of the Two of Wands. So, in shadow, the Virgo Hermit and the High Priestess can talk about hiding. Because the shadowy people kind of hide what really drives them, motivates them, and the Two of Wands can talk like the Queen of Swords, I have a dream. And their dream isn't to be take more inspired, bold, brave, confident action in their life from love, but they hide that truth from people. And then also the Two of Wands is Aries energy, that in their Aries energy of self, they could just be more about themselves. And they hide that from people also. But regardless, if people are more shadowy, there's always going to be some more hopeful, believing people in their life. The shadowy people harness a more shadowy Aries energy and Cancer and Pisces energy and Capricorn energy, more emotionally manipulated by themselves and these things of the world. But they're always going to have some more high vibrational people who harness high vibe Pisces, Cancer, Aries, and Capricorn energy, who are more inspired to free themselves from things that manipulate them. And their idea of the dream life is not to make it more about themselves or these things of the world only. It's like, I have a dream. I want a more balanced relationship. I want to be free to be my authentic self in a relationship without people being harsh or critical or competitive or hurtful or unkind or bullying or intimidating or controlling or superficial. And some of the high vibe people are going to listen to their intuition, and those people are going to let go of these people. And they're going to go take that leap of faith to do this work within themselves, to get over their past pain and heartbreak and betrayal, to go hang out with people who are more inspired by hope and faith and belief and love. And the shadowy people will feel betrayed again, that other people freed themselves from things that manipulate them, because they could feel like the things that manipulate them, their stubbornness or their pride or their ego or their lust or their greed or their immature nature, they don't view it as manipulating them. They can just be mad when other people aren't willing to keep living their life the way they want to live their life. Why are those people inspired to do something different? Why are those people inspired to face their fears and maybe make their life less about being consumed by the world and believe there's a higher truth and be inspired by more than just me or these things of the world? Because they're really inspired by themselves or these things of the world. And they don't understand why other people don't. And eventually what they don't see coming is that probably the people they end up staying in a relationship with are also people who are emotionally more inspired about their status and image or these things of the world or things they like to indulge in to make themselves feel better. And that's why they're in the relationship. You know, shadowy energy is, I'm more in this because of how it benefits me. High vibe people want to work together with others knowing it's not just more about them. I want to work together with people who have gotten out of their more egoic nature, who are more motivated and inspired by love, and have seen the truth of that, and they also want to be in relationships more for love. And the other people are like, I like it a little bit more about how it benefits me. Well, I think eventually people end up seeing the truth of it. And even if they get in a relationship with someone who is more like them, and they could get in a relationship with someone else who kind of creates the illusion that, oh, I'm not superficial, I'm not more competitive, I'm not more stubborn, I'm not more about me, I'm not more about these things of the world. And then later they find out the truth. But because those things also drive and motivate them, and again, by worldly standards, it could look really victorious and successful, they might hide the fact that this isn't what they thought it was going to be. But they didn't know it when they got in it. And then by the time they do, unlike high vibe people who are willing to give up some of those things to go live their authentic life, that's when they could kind of see the truth. I really am more manipulated by those things, aren't I? It's like, yes, you are. And that might be a tower moment for them at that future point in time if some of them aren't experiencing it now. But the more prideful, egotistical, defensive, don't want to admit they made mistakes in life, speak their truth, step out of their comfort zone, take a leap of faith and love, they'll probably stay in something they don't really want to be in but by worldly standards, it looks good. So, and for some people, that is their truth. This is what I want, and I might want it to be more about me. And if I can find someone who's willing to indulge me in whatever ways of being I've got and is willing to stay in it, then hey, that's my idea of the dream relationship. I don't care if it's not inspired by love. I don't care if it is more because I'm competitive, and even if I feel left out in the cold, and even if I feel betrayed, if I look like a shining star in the world, to me, that could be the most important thing. Because they don't want to see the truth. The most important thing is these things of the world. So there you go, Capricorn. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.